Wicked Witches. So today I'm going to be doing something quite difficult. I'm going to be creating a ritual for grief. It's not like you do a ritual and then that just sorts everything out. That's not how it's going to work. But it's a process, it's a way of supporting grief, because we just don't have any room for it anymore. And the thing is, grief is not just when someone passes. Grief is a house, and there are 5 gateways to grief, and one of them is through losing someone. That's one of the ways that you can enter that house. But even if you've never lost anyone, you still might have experienced grief, because we all have parts of ourselves that we've had to banish in our lives, like bits that we felt shame over and had to send that bit packing because we were ashamed or embarrassed or humiliated in some way, or felt scared and tried to keep it safe. So there's bits of us, and that's called soul loss. So we have little bits of lost soul that we've put in, and we banished them, but they don't disappear. They go and live in our shadow selves, and that's when you start getting problems and phobias and things coming up, because these little lost parts of our soul are still with us. They're just living in the shadows. And life's beautiful game is to keep digging through that topsoil and trying to find where these like stones are and rocks, and keep working at it, keep trying to find your way through to sift through all of these things, and you never will. And you think that you've like got lovely tilled soil, and then you turn around and there's a massive volcano behind you that you just completely hadn't noticed. So yeah, it's forever, this work, which is joyous. That's a wonderful thing, but it does mean that we're having to work through some hard things. We can't just think that they're going to be okay by banishing them. There's also grief for things that we like hoped were going to happen, or we thought we were going to have, that didn't come to pass. Relationships that didn't work out, children that you didn't end up having, jobs that you didn't end up getting, all of these things. There's grief of the world, and like all of the awful things that are happening in the world that we have no control over. And that, I feel, is a very, very big one at the moment. Like, we're living in a world where it's more clear than ever what a lie we're having to buy into, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to kind of hold it together when you're feeling just so utterly in despair and grief over how awfully things are being managed and how badly we're all being treated. And last but not least is ancestral grief, which is stuff that's inherited through our DNA, through our blood, through our the atmosphere in our family. Could also be from past lives. If that's, it depends on whether you believe in that or not, but sometimes it feels, some things can be inherited from just through the annals of history, being passed down through humanity. So it's quite useful to kind of work out, like, when you feel grief, and it's often getting mistaken for depression. Like if you've got grief, you're allowed to have it. And it's this feeling of like trying to get better quicker. In a lot of cultures and religions, you would be given at least a year to grieve a loved one, and you would wear a black armband, or you'd wear mourning clothes, and everyone knew you were in mourning and gave you a break and just gave you a bit of space and kindness. And we don't do any of this anymore, and we're all just like trying to be Instagram perfect the whole time, and it's detrimental to our society, because grief teaches you empathy and kindness and understanding. And if we're just like rushing the experience and the process of grief, then we are shortchanging the person and community as a whole, of the only benefit there is to all of it, which is that there is medicine there, and learning and teaching that will make the person kinder. And like, once you, because you have these threads of grief that come out from you, and then as you pull them and feel their connection, you suddenly see how they connect to this fabric of grief that connects to everybody. But until you've sort of, something's happened to you that's caused those threads to snag, you just aren't really paying any attention to it. And once you realise how we all have grief, then it's like, you don't know what cross someone bears. Like, you just suddenly feel so much more kindness and empathy and love for your fellow mankind. And, if we're creating a society that's trying to like quickly just get on with like being better again and ignoring the whole process, then we're removing a really integral part of humanity. Like, it's vital that we have this, and it's vital for the health and well-being of our individuals within it, and also the whole of the society as a whole. So I'm going to show you this ceremony as a way of beginning to work with it. It's not like I'm going to fix everything, but it's something that one can do. What you need is a bowl with water in it, and then some stones that you'll use to represent. So you can either get stones that you're then going to like get rid of at the end. So there might be pebbles that you pick up from around the place, because what we do is we do a process here, and then at the end you then will take them and put them in the river or in the sea to scour them clean. So you can either use stones that you'll just put in the sea and leave them there. If they're ones you're going to you want to keep, then you could just put them in a bowl in the sea and they'll get washed with the sea, but you can still take them home again. So it's up to you what you use. And I've got stones here that are my ones that I don't want to lose. I'll keep them, that I will use in the process. So the beginning part, and I've got videos for this, is to make a shrine to grief. And I made so I've got a video where I'm making the iconostasis, which is the back panel, which just is something that I always think helps kind of give the shrine a bit of height and shape. So I made this iconostasis, and then built this shrine to grief. And there's objects and things on here, which you can look on my other video, that each thing represents a person who I've lost recently, or like a feeling or a thing. And what I'll do so I've got the bowl. In terms of water, like, I would try and use some sort of sacred water if possible, like filter water at least. Don't buy a plastic bottle and use mineral water from a plastic bottle, because that's not helping anything. But what you can do is, if you've only got tap water, is use tap water and maybe leave it out under a full moon. So it's moon blessed water. And if you haven't got time to do that and you need to do it now, then just get the water and do a blessing over the water, with your hopes and everything for the ceremony. And what I would do is I will cast a circle, and part of casting the circle is to have something for each of the 4 elements. So you'll want salt for earth, a candle for fire for the south, you want incense for the air, and you'll want water for the west. And then a separate bowl of water. And then I use rose petals to mark out a circle, but you can use wands, you can use anything. And then what we'll do is you take the stones and you say what the stone represents, which of the sorrows that it is that the griefs that you're naming, and you place it into the water in the bowl. So you say what your sorrow is and you place it in the bowl once you've cast the circle. And give yourself some time to do this, to really drop into the feeling of it and be present to the emotion of it. Once you've done that, then you will cut the circle feel that you've been witnessed and have said what needs to be said, you'll cut the circle, and then you will take the stones and you will place them in some natural water in a river or the sea, and it will cleanse them. And then you can do this whole ritual again some other time. You can do it as many times as you feel you need to in order to work through and just keep doing it, you know, just keep doing it. And it will be more powerful if you do it with other people, because when you're being witnessed, it is more powerful. But I'm going to do it today with myself. So I'm going to get as far as placing them in the bowl. I won't have taken them to the sea yet, but I'll talk to you again at the end and just share what's come up for me, anything that might be useful to know, and just, yeah, see how that process helps. I'm going to go inside.